Good evening, Rose to Sharon. Hey, everybody. As I promised, I'm back on. Do you not know that for the last 2.5 hours, I was planning on coming on live? I actually recorded a video, FaceTime. Uh, the video was about an hour and some odd minutes long. And while I was trying to upload the video, it kept going through the process of preparing and after several attempts to upload the video so I can get it out here to you all, it finally stated that it cannot be uploaded at this time. So rather than wait and break my promise as usual, I decided I'll just come on and just tell you my story. All right? Maybe it's meant to be told this way. Several years ago, well, actually, many years ago, uh, and this pic I chose is because it's almost close to what I looked like back in that time. It's close. I was much younger. However, it's close. So we'll go with this one. I couldn't find anything in that era that resembled me as much as this photo right here. So we'll use this photo for visuals. But anyway, many years ago, I lived a very interesting life. I had a career that some folks could only dream about. It was like a fairy tale. I was successful. For my standards, I was successful and met a lot of interesting friends. We grew close and we had a tight circle, you know. And on weekends, whether it's me and the girls or our inner circle, we were all sharing what we're going to do that weekend, meet up or whatever. Not the entire weekend, maybe one evening out of the weekend, every other week, we would get together and have a good time. So we were all invited to this beautiful club slash concert hall where they promote local talent as well as celebrities and bands and stuff that we're aware of. They promoted them there at this location. And, we have like mini concerts and stuff. So very nice place, elegant, there was never a doubt in my mind at any given time that my safety would be compromised. So it was a good place. We had a good time when we visited this location. I met a lot of interesting people. This also was a place where celebrities, would frequent. And I, spent a lot of time socializing. It was a social place. It was large. It was a place, they had a game room, different setups. The stage was in the front of the location, and beautiful tables, and you had like several bar areas, intimate spots for conversation, VIP sections, stuff like that. Very nice, very put together. And this was one of our places that we would go and have a good time at least twice a month, depending on the show. So we were invited because we knew the group that was performing. They were friends of ours, so we were excited, and also to show our support. So that morning, I went to Crenshaw Mall and bought myself a new dress and all the accessories. You know, excited about the night. So I got my hair and nails done, the whole nine. You know how we do, ladies. You know how we do. And so I decided, I told the guys, hey, since I live not far from the place, I'll drive myself. So no one had to pick me up. You guys, y'all figure out how you get there and I'll meet you there. Fair enough. This is what we did. So the show was supposed to start around, I would say 8 or 8:30. So to secure myself a good parking space, I arrived about 7:45, right? And also to get a nice table for me and my friends, okay? And that's what I did. So my friends entered in and folks started coming in and we're having a good time, okay? I would say about an hour later, I decided I needed to go to the store. I'm not sure exactly what I needed, but it was an urgency that I go to the convenience store. Now, I'm not talking about a store that's maybe half a mile down the road or whatever, or a few blocks away. No, this convenience store was 1 block away from this location. Only a block away. I could actually stand in the parking lot. The hall was set up on top of a hill. So when you're in the parking lot, you can look down and you can actually see the convenience store. Perfect view. I can see folks getting out of their cars, going inside the store. That's how close this convenience store was to me. So my girls, one by one, hey, you want us to go with you? They know. I said, no, y'all know the store's right here. No, y'all stay here. I'll be right back. I believe I needed some Tylenol. I felt a headache coming on. I don't know why, but I believe I needed some Tylenol at the time. So I said, no, you guys hang tight. Well, how long will I be gone? 5 or 10 minutes? Don't worry about me. I'll be right back. They said, okay. So I grabbed my purse and headed on out. So my car, I arrived early, so my car is, as soon as you enter out of the building, my car is just right there right around the corner, right there, in front of everything. And I'm at my car, and you know how we do, ladies, we fumbling through our purse trying to find our keys. So I'm going through my purse trying to find my keys. I wanted to hurry up, get to the store, and get back before showtime. And this gentleman approached me. He goes, hey, how you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm good. How are you? Getting over the pleasantries because I was on a mission. And he was quite charming, very tall man, young man. He was well dressed. I immediately looked down at his shoes. I don't know, something about me, when a man, if he's well groomed, the first thing I look at is his shoes. I don't know why. I look at his shoes, and I'm thinking in my head, okay, let's wrap this up. I got to get to the store. I got to get it back. What does this guy want? And he says, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm fine. How are you? Blah, blah, blah. I said, look, can we continue this later? I'm on my way to the store. He said, oh, guess what? I'm on my way to the store, too. I said, okay. I'm still looking for my keys, right? He says, I tell you what, why don't we ride together? This man was quite charming, a gentleman, had a beautiful smile. And immediately I went with my gut and I said, oh, no, that's okay. I'll see you when I get back, okay? I wanted to get out of there, And he says, you know what? He says, I don't want you to lose your spot. He says, if you leave just to go to, I said, well, I'm only going to the store. He said, but you know how many people are arriving? Look, cars were going in and out of the parking lot. Spaces were full. So they would have to park like on the street. He said, I would hate for you to have to park on the street. And he had a point there. I don't like, by myself, I don't want to be on the street. So I said, yeah, I think you're right. And I said to myself, well, it's just 1 block away. What harm can it do? And he seems like a gentleman. He seems quite a gentleman, so why not? And just so happened his car was parked right next to mine. This large chocolate brown Cadillac. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, this car doesn't fit his personality. I just said that. I don't know why. I just said this car doesn't fit his personality, but moving on. So as I go to reach for the door handle to get in, he jumps out over and opens up the door for me. I says, wow, he's such a gentleman. And I got in, and he closed the door, and he got in. And as we proceeded out, now keep in mind, the convenience store is 1 block or less than a block away. It's in my view. I can see it, right? We can see it. So anyway, as we're about to leave down the hill, and another car was coming in as we were going out, and it just so happened to be friends of his. And as they pull up on the side of us, they stopped, and he knew who they were, and the guy kind of signaled for him to wind the window down. And so he rolled down my window, from his side of the car, and they started talking. And I don't know, for some reason, somebody told me to look in the back of the car, in the back seat. There were 4 gentlemen in the car. And somebody told me just to look at the back seat. And I looked in the back seat, and these 2 guys in the back, they were looking at me, and they had this sorrowful look on their face. They had this sorrowful look, and I was puzzled. Like, why are they looking at me like that? Then I immediately turned to the driver, who was conversing with this guy, this man, and he was speaking to him in such an authoritative tone. And all I remember him saying is that, well, we're going to the store too. Now keep in mind, they just pull in to find a space and to go inside. But he told him, we're going to the store too. I found that to be a little odd. And then he looks at me. And the look he gave me also was of authority. He had this look, like a stern look in his eyes, and he looked at me and says, what I felt from him when he looked at me is that I will protect you. I don't know why. That's what I got from him. I will protect you. And I thought that was odd. I'm like, I'm just going down the street, but okay. And, moving on. It could just be me, right? Anyway, so we all going down to the 1 block away to the convenience store. We arrive, they arrive. This guy, he parks, in front of a pump. There are a lot of folks at the convenience store. People going in, getting their necessities on their way to the show. And he parked, and as I went to reach for my door handle to get out, he says, oh, I got you. He said, don't worry about it. I got you. What do you need? I said, well, I just want to get some Tylenol. He said, I got you. I'll be right back. I said, okay. And then I said to myself, I don't know this guy, and, I don't really want him buying me anything. Let me just get out and go get my own Tylenol and tell him that's okay. So I reached for my door handle, and there was no door handle. My window was still down, so I'm shaking on the door and seeing if I can just push my way out. There were no doorknobs and nothing. So I go, this is not good. This is not good. So I immediately moved over to his side of the car and was going to open up his door handle because he did get out. There was no door handle on his side either. No doorknobs, no door latches, whatever you call it, on his side either. I'm starting to panic. Me, I slid back over to my seat. I can't get out of this car. They were too far away for me to shout out. And something told me to be still. I just observed my surroundings. See who's who, what's going on before I try to attempt to climb out of this window, right? Because if I had to, I was going to climb out the window. But something told me, no, just be still. And I'm looking at him converse with the driver of the other car. And that driver was really talking to him. And I couldn't focus on that because I realized I could be in danger. And before I could even open my mouth to say anything, he was back in the car. Now, we can either go right away from the show or go left 1 block, less than a block, to the show. So I remained calm, tried to remain calm. I kept my composure. My mind is racing. My mind is racing. I said, fear not. You don't have nothing to worry about. You're just 1 mile away. Worst scenario? No worst scenario. He's going to turn left. He's going to turn left. Well, he turned right. Yes, he turned right. And I immediately said, what are you doing? Where are you going? I got to get back. My friends are waiting for me. Where are you going? And he wouldn't answer me. And I'm screaming and hollering, hey, you got to let me out of this car. I got to get back to the show. What are you doing? And he wasn't driving fast. He wasn't driving slow. He was like in a cruise mode, just cruising along. And I guess he finally got tired of me babbling and yelling at him, let me out of this car now. I'm demanding to be let out of that car. And that man turned to me, and all his social charm and graces went out the window. When I tell you, I was staring at the devil in the flesh. That man looked at me and told me to be quiet, to shut up. I thought my heart was going to jump out of my chest. Anyway, he had to focus on the traffic and he continued to drive. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of this car? How am I going to be able to get out of this car? So my mind is racing, thinking on how I'm going to get out of this car. And I said, you know what? I'm going to jump out this window. The next light he stops, I'm jumping out this window. And I guess that man could read my mind. The next thing I knew, he rolled up that window from his side of the car, right? That window went up. Keep in mind, there's no door handle, no door, knob, latch, or whatever to get me out of there, right? It was like a Twilight Zone. I couldn't believe this. I'm like, oh, I can't believe this. What do you want from me? I don't know you. What is this? What are you doing? I could have took myself to the store. I got to get back. My friends would be missing me. What is this? What do you want from me? And because I was demanding answers from him, it was just my nature. The employer that I had, you know, the one I told you about, that Jewish owner of that 5-star plus restaurant, I was so close. He was like a father to me. I took on traits from him. So I'm talking to this man that's driving this vehicle that I'm demanding answers out of him as he drives, because I knew at that time he had to keep his hands on the wheels. He couldn't do anything to me. We're in traffic. So I'm demanding, you know, to let me out of this car now. Even though he told me to shut up and all that, I garnered up enough strength to say, let me out of this car. That man turned that corner and he looked at me and he grabbed my arm and told me to shut up now. And I knew he meant it. So, when I tell you I was frightened, I stayed quiet because I knew I had to keep my wits about myself. I kept my mind, I kept saying, this cannot be happening to me. You hear about these stories and you say, oh, that'll never happen to you. You know better. And here I find myself going to a convenience store 1 block away, saving my parking space. And this charming gentleman offered to take me 1 block away so I won't lose my spot and I can get back to my friends in and out real quick. And yet I entered into a nightmare. And I'm finding it I'm really surprised at myself because I haven't shared this story with only maybe in all these years with 2 people. One being my best friend later after the incident, and the other my friend. I'm going to call him my friend. I was in a relationship with him. I shared it with him. However, he was away at the time. His business took him out of town a lot. So, and those were the weekends that me and the girls got together. And my circle of friends, we got together when he wasn't around. So, those were the only 2. And I didn't tell him until about a month later because he detected something was wrong with me. I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't want to see him. I didn't want him to touch me. I didn't want nothing. I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't want to go anywhere with him. I was isolating myself. I didn't want to talk to no one. But let me get back to the story. You know how I can venture off track. But like I said, I find myself surprised that I can tell y'all this story so vividly now. Because like I said, I suppressed this story for years and years and years. And again, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much that I'm able to get this story out. Thank you, Dr. Matthew Stevenson, for helping me deal with my pain. And because of that, I'm able to share this story with you all. Anyway, again, thank you, Dr. Stevenson. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. So anyway, he turns down this street, and the street was dark, and it was only lit by one, that I can make out, one lamppost with this bright shining light. However, on the right side of the street were residential. It's a residential neighborhood. So on one side was all homes, nice homes, not no tore up neighborhood. It was a well put together neighborhood. And on the other side, as he went further down, he made a U-turn and he parked on the side where there were not homes. Maybe they were into development or something. I don't know. There was a vacant lot. And the way he turned that car around and parked, as if he knew that area quite well, as if he's been there before. I gathered that. And the only thing I had in my view was this lamppost with this bright street light, just bright. And all I can do is look at that light. I didn't want to look at him because when I saw the face of the enemy, I didn't want to look at him. I didn't. I tried my best not to look at him. So I'm asking him, why am I here? What do you want? What do you want from me? Why I'm going on? I'm babbling. I'm going on. Please, why? Tell me, why am I here? I don't know you. Why? What do you want from me? Tell me, please. Take me back to my friends. I'm saying the same thing over and over and over. He's ignoring me at this time. He's looking for something. And I was in his control. Remember, the window was up. I could not get out. He had full control, so I was not a problem to him. So we locked through. All the windows were up, and it was a beautiful evening. Nightfall was slowly approaching. I could see daylight slowly seeping away, and the darkness is enclosing, you know. And as the darkness encompassed us, my heart was just racing, and I was fearful. And he ignored me, and he kept looking for something. I didn't really want to look at him, so I'm looking at his hands, his body movements. I'm watching him from my peripheral, however you say that word. You know, I'm looking from the side eye of what he's doing, and I'm frightened. You know, this man was about 6'1" or 6'2", very tall. This gentleman, he was well dressed. He had long, black man, long curly hair that went down his back. I don't know if it was a Jerry curl back in them days or just his hair. It was long, and it suited him. He was real tall, and so I'm just watching his hands, his leg movements, trying to figure him out. What is he looking for? I didn't say anything. And he picks up this object, and it was a black flashlight. And I'm like, wow. I didn't think anything about it. But I guess he needed the flashlight to search for whatever he's looking for. So I'm sitting on my side of the car, as far as away from him. I'm like all up on that door, you know, trying to stay away from him. And, you know, I'm short, and he's very tall, so he has these large hands, so it didn't take him but a sec to just turn my little body around and had my feet and legs facing him, and he slid me down in that seat. And I remember I immediately said, Father, if I got to die tonight, please don't let it happen this way. Please don't let it happen this way. And all I could see is visions of other women, stories we have heard, other women minding their own business, and for whatever reason, they're kidnapped, raped, and murdered. All those images was flowing through my head. And I'm like, Lord, please don't let me die this way. And I started calling on Jesus to help me, help me, Jesus, help me. And I just stayed fixated on that lamp post and that shining bright light. And I'm talking to it. Now he's not paying me too much attention because he was on a mission. He had an agenda. He's done this before, I can tell. So as he, like I said, he slid me in that seat so quickly, and he turned my little legs around to him, and my feet were on his lap. And he took that object, this long black flashlight, and he says to me, put this in you. Stick it in you now. Yeah, you heard me correctly. He said, stick this in you now. I said, what? You crazy? I can't stick that inside. You want me to put this in? He said, yes. I said, I can't do that. I said, what's wrong with you? I can't do that. And he was adamant. He went on and on telling me to do it. And I mean, he got forceful and forceful. He meant it. Do it now. And I said, oh, Lord. So I took the flashlight and I just finagled it around my thigh, my inner thighs. I said, I can't do it. I can't put this in me. What's wrong with you? This is not going to go inside me. What is wrong with you? He said, he got tired of me finagling with that thing, and he's thinking I'm really actually trying to, no, I just put it near, and it was dark, and he really couldn't see, so he had to take my word for it. But he saw I was just having, and then, the actress in me, I'm just grunting and everything, trying to let this man know, hey, are you crazy? Of course, how would no flashlight gonna fit inside me? Come on now, right? So he got tired of me trying, and this went on. When I tell you, time stood still. This went on for a long time. But I'm just shaking that flashlight back and forth between my thighs, and finally he snatched that flashlight from me, and he turned it on. And at this point, I said, oh, Lord, is this man going to try to shove this? Lord, don't let this man try to shove this flash. I knew I was dying, y'all, right then and there. I knew I was going to die. And when that man turned that flashlight on, I closed my eyes and just fixated myself on Jesus. And said to myself in my mind, Lord, please help me. Please don't let me go through this. Please, please. I'm saying it to myself. And the Lord said to me, I am with you. You're not alone. I'm with you now. You're not alone. So I felt a little better knowing God was with me. I heard him so loud and clear. He said, I'm with you. You're not alone. I'm here with you right now. And I'm sitting there. So my mind was on Jesus, so I wasn't paying him too much attention. He turned that light on, and whatever he was doing, trying to look under my dress or whatever, all of a sudden, he dropped that flashlight and started slamming his hands on the steering wheel. I opened up my eyes. He's slamming on the steering wheel. No, let me go back. Let me go back. When he was telling me to shove this flashlight up me, he was saying, I'm asking why, and all that. While I'm asking why, are you crazy? I can't do this. He said, yeah, you a bad girl. And this is what happens to bad girls. I said, what are you talking about? I don't even know you. You a bad girl? And he was justifying why he kidnapped me because I'm a bad girl. And he was rambling on, and what I gathered from him, from that car, no handles, no knobs, he's done this before. So as I closed my eyes, I said, so I'm going to die tonight. I said, Lord, please don't let me die this way. And I closed my eyes, and I just started asking the Lord to help me. Lord, help me. I'm murmuring, Lord, help me, Lord, please. Jesus, help me. And immediately I heard the Lord say to me, I'm here with you. I'm here with you now. I'm here with you. And I felt a sense of calm. So I opened my eyes and I said, I just fixated my eyes on the lamppost, that street light I told y'all about. That's all I had to look at. And that light was so bright. And I kept watching that bright light. And he's slamming on the steering wheel. This is what happened to bad girls. Boom, 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 boom. But finally, he slammed that steering wheel, and he was angry. He started mumbling and babbling to himself. And I didn't want to look at him because I told y'all it was like looking at the devil in the flesh. He had that look, his eyes, no soul, nothing. I didn't want that image burned in my head. So I can hear him while I'm fixated on this lamppost. And he said, and I guess he turned his head to me. He says, you're a good girl. I didn't say anything. I just let him talk. He says, you are a good girl. You're not like the others. And all I could say was, is he basing this on the fact he couldn't get a flashlight inside me? No, that's not it. But he realized I was a good girl. And I started talking to him. I heard the Lord say, I said, Jesus, I got to get out of this car. So I started talking to him, asking him questions. I told him, I said, you know what? Now that he realized I'm a good girl, maybe he would let me go. But I didn't want to rush things because I knew I was in a serious situation. So I had to tread lightly. So he's shaking his head, talking to himself, And I turned to him and I said, yeah, let me tell you about myself. So I started telling him about my life, where I was raised and what I'm doing now and my personal life. I'm telling him. And then it's like a light went on in his head. He took the information that I gave him, and I guess he put it together and what he observed, how I moved, I moved around at the concert hall, because and this is not being arrogant or anything like that, but I attract people to me. You know, I've always been that way. I attract people to me. And, you know, part of my character, I'm quite funny. But I attract people to me for my personality, you know, stuff like that. So I meet people all the time. And if I see the same faces, I'm happy to see you. I'm a hugger. I hug on people that I got grown to know. And I'm a social butterfly. So, you know, people were attracted to me. So I guess this guy was observing me, and I don't know, in his mind, me socializing with folks, you know, we have our own main table at the stage, and we always had a table at the stage, but we would all get up and go our separate ways before showtime and mingle. And, you know, I met Johnny Gill there, a younger Johnny Gill, Stacy Lattisaw, like I said, a rerun from What's Happening Now. Yeah, a lot of folks were there. You know, I met a lot of folks. Like I said, this is a place where a lot of celebrities and we black folks, we got together and had a good time. And the club all frequent the location. It was open to all, but majority of the patrons were African American, so people of color. And so I guess in his mind, he put it all together and realized he had the wrong one. He had the wrong one. So I wasn't out of danger yet, but that was a good sign, you know. So he sat back, contemplating. I could tell his mind was racing. He was contemplating. And I knew if I didn't get out this car, this man would probably try to kill me, right? So I turned to him. I'm feeling less fearful now. I knew God was there with me. I knew he was with me. I turned to him and I said, "It's hot in here. I can't breathe. Can we roll down the windows and let some air in here?" Very cordial, I said it. Without thinking, he rolled down the windows because he's leaning back. His head is against the headrest and he had his eyes kind of closed a little bit. He was really into his own thoughts. And so as I'm talking to him, I'm sliding my shoes off my feet. And you know what? I thank God for the childhood that I had. Roses, you know, I told you guys last year, I believe, in one of my videos, I think I privatized that video. But in one of my videos, yeah, I think I did. But I told you guys that growing up in San Antonio, Texas, I was a tomboy. You know, I fought boys when I was young. You know, I could play Barbies with the girls in the morning and then go play tag football with the boys, baseball with everybody, and in the afternoons. And I was quite athletic, and even as I grew up, I would go to the gym. So I knew I could get myself out that window, right? And so I continued to talk to him so he wouldn't notice what I was doing. And while doing so, he closed his eyes, and because he was really into his own thoughts. He was pissed at himself. And I couldn't worry about what he was going on in his head. I knew I had to get out that car. And when he closed them eyes, I jumped out of that window. I don't know how I jumped out of that window. And I ran across that street and started banging on the first house I got to. I'm banging and yelling for help. Help me, please. He's trying to kill me. Help me, help me. Now, I don't know if I told y'all that, but as we entered into that residential neighborhood, there was a big, huge sign that said, Neighborhood Watch. Oh, yes, it was. And we're going to refer back to that sign later on. But there was a huge sign, Neighborhood Watch. No one answered the first door. I ran to the second door. banging and knocking and banging and screaming and hollering. No one opened that door either. I ran to the third house. Same thing. At that point, I said, I just have to keep running. Don't look back, just keep running. And I didn't look back. I kept running. All of a sudden, he caught me. He grabbed my dress, the back of my dress, around my neck, collar, or whatever. He grabbed me. Time just stood still. And when he grabbed me and pulled me to him, I started swinging and fighting. I said, if I'm going to die, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for mine. I'm going to fight for my life. Now keep in mind, this man is 6'1", 6'2", possibly 6'3". Anyway, he's in that area, and I'm short. So I'm swinging and swinging. And all I can do is just hit him wherever my punches land. They just hit what his waist, I don't know. And I'm just fighting as hard as I could, my little hands. And he's tall, and he had these big hands. And so he was grabbing my hands so I can stop punching at him. And I thought it was a little peculiar. He kept grabbing. Well, no, not peculiar. He wanted me to stop hitting him. I just gathered, okay. So he's grabbing my hands. As he grabbed my hands, he let him go. I go punching at him again because remember, I'm in his grip. I'm trying to free myself. I kept going till I angered him. And finally, he took his balled up his fist and he hit me. He hit me on the top of my head. And I still kept punching, trying to free myself from him. He hit me again on the side of my head. He hit me again. And let me tell y'all, I felt nothing. Do you hear me? I did not feel one blow. I guess my adrenaline was on. I kept fighting till I grew weary. I grew tired. And he was punching me. I realized this man is hitting me. I better stop. I said, okay. I'm stopping. I'll stop. I stopped. Now he does, come on. You know, that deep voice, come on. He was mad. Oh, he was mad. He got me back in that car. And he only left his window down and the windows on his side of the car. He kept my windows up. So now I'm trapped. Right? I'm trapped. It's in the middle of the night. I can't tell y'all how long I was in that car by this time. After that ordeal of getting out that window and being forced back into the car, time just stood still for me. And all I had was that lamppost and that bright light. We get back in the car, and keep in mind now, he realized I am a good girl, but I made him mad, so I didn't know what was going to happen when we got back in the car. So, he slammed his hands on that steering wheel again. He says to me, you gonna tell it. If I let you go, you gonna tell it. I ignored what he said for a few minutes, and I said, Lord, give me the utterance. Lord, what do I say? I don't want to say the wrong thing. Help me, Jesus. What do I say? Holy Spirit, help me. I stayed quiet. I just let him talk. Peace, be still. I stayed still. On the outside, my body looked calm, but on the inside, I'm heart fluttering, mind racing. I was a nervous wreck. Then I heard the Lord say, talk to him. I said to myself, talk to him. The Lord said, use the voice I gave you, talk to him. And when the Lord said, use the voice I gave you, all of a sudden I start feeling strength rising up in me. You better hear me today. I feel courage and strength just rising up. And remember, I told y'all that I had a position of authority. You know, I walk into any of those 5-star plus restaurants. When I walked in those doors, when I stepped into that kitchen, first, I parked my car in the back because I must go in and see what's going on in that kitchen. And the minute you see me step foot on the premises, they know that if they didn't get things right with me, The next person they was going to see was my boss, their boss. And if he had to come behind me and come into that restaurant, heads were going to roll. I didn't even realize the power I had, y'all. I was young. I didn't know it. So when I came in, if my inventory tells me you got 100 cases of prime rib in that freezer, and you reporting to me that you only got 80, you better find me my 20 cases of prime rib. I'm going to get in my car, leave corporate office, and come. You better show me what I'm missing in that kitchen. Because if you can't explain to me why we 20 cases short, my end is all right. I know what I got. You better show me them 20 cases or we're going to have a problem. And that's how it was. So when the Lord told me, talk to him, and all of a sudden that strength and that authoritative attitude that I had to carry at work erupted. And I turned to him and I said, you've done this before, haven't you? And at first he didn't look at me. He just exhaled. And I waited for his reply. And I said again, you've done this before, haven't you? And he said, now I'm looking at him in his face now. His eyes are closed, but I'm looking in his face because the Lord told me to talk to him. Now we already established I'm a good girl. So that was good. So he says, yes, I've done this before. And my heart dropped. And he said, I said, did you carry your agenda all the way through? He said, yes. And that's when he turned and looked at me. But this time when he turned and looked at me, his eyes were full of sorrow. Tears were running down his face. And I guess I was thinking, oh, he's crying because he heard me cry out to the Lord. Now, I'm thinking this demon ain't paying me no mind. I'm just in my world talking to the Lord, crying out to him in a soft voice for help. And that man, when he looked at me, tears was rolling down his cheeks and his eyes was full of sorrow. Now, one could wonder, is those eyes full of sorrow because you feel so guilty of what you've done, or you realize that what you have to do to me, I didn't know why, because this was a demon. I mean, you crying now, and all I can hear the Lord say, talk to him, real clear, talk to him. So I changed my demeanor a little bit, and I softened my voice. Now, at first, I was a little strong. I had a little courage in me, right? Thinking about him killing me and all that just went out the window. It did. I'm telling you, it went out the window. But I was still under his control. I was at his mercy because he controlled that vehicle, right? But I knew I had a God in heaven. Come on here, somebody. And I turned to him and I started talking about God's goodness, the goodness of the Lord. And I started talking to him about God's goodness. And I could see his ears just perk up. And I could see his soul was like steel. I could just feel it. He was listening. He would listen to every word that proceeded out of my mouth. And I kept talking to him. I talked to him so compassionately about God's goodness. And that he could be forgiven. Even for the sins he's done. He could be forgiven. And we went on, and when I tell you time was still, we talked, and I talked to this man, and he listened, and he's crying. He's actually crying. And he said to me, if I let you go, you gotta tell it. I know you gotta tell it. And not like he don't blame me, but he knows I'm gonna do it. And that let me know this is why he could not let the women live, survive their ordeal with him. I don't know how many, but I gathered it was more than 2, right? Or 3, or 4. And I couldn't think about that right now. I had to think about getting out of that car. But so I had those thoughts for a few seconds, and then I kept talking about God's goodness and how he can be forgiven and that he has to pray. I said, let's pray together. And I opened up my little small hands. And I looked at him. I opened my hands and I nodded down in my hands. Put your hands in mine. And he did it. He put his hands in mine. I kid you not. He put his hands in mine. He closed his eyes and I prayed. Prayed for him. His soul. Him. His deliverance. I prayed. I was amazed how I prayed for this man. This perpetrator who kidnapped me. You know, I prayed for him. And after that, he just sat there and I shifted back to my side of the car and we were in silence. And I went back to gazing at that lamppost because now the ball's in his court. Okay? If those tears were real and he received that prayer and he received the words that was spoken unto him, he's going to let me go. I believed that and I knew that. So we went on in silence for a long time. He's contemplating. I guess part of him, the bad side of him, was pulling on him. And the part that wanted to be set free was pulling at him at the same time. So all of this took time, y'all. And for us, it was like, for me and him, it was like, oh, I think my battery's running low. I hope y'all can hear me. For me and him, there was no such thing as time. We were just there. Anyway, I sat there. I put my shoes back on my feet. And I sat there and I waited. I was so tired. I was so drained and weary. I was wore out. But I wasn't afraid of him anymore. You hear me? I was not afraid of him. You know that old saying, that cliche, flip the script, whatever. Yeah, the script was flipped. Oh, yes, it was. Jesus did it. Yes, he did. And all he told me to do was talk to him. And he told me, I'm here with you. I won't leave you. He was there in that car with me. I knew it. And so I put my shoes back on my feet and I sat there. I straightened up my dress. I sat there. And the next thing I knew, he turned that car on and started driving. Now, I had said, earlier, just let me out right here. You don't even have to take me back. We both wore out. I didn't say nothing to him. I didn't want to interrupt whatever he's going through. He started that car, but I knew I would be okay. He took me right back to my car, the parking lot empty. My car just sitting there by itself. I mean, it's daylight. It's the next day, y'all. It's the next day. This ordeal started at a little after 7, maybe, to the next morning. Yeah. And so he took me back to my car. I got in it. I never looked back and I went home. Now, here's where the torment comes in, you guys, for me. I immediately got home, stripped myself in those clothes, threw those clothes in the trash, took a shower. Tried to go lay down and go to sleep. I couldn't sleep. You may say, why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you report it? No. Calling the police was the farthest thing from my mind, because remember, I don't know if I told y'all, he said, you're gonna tell it, you're gonna tell it. I told him, no, I won't. I won't tell it. Yes, you will. I said, no, you let me go. I will not tell no one. Just let me go. That's what I told him. So after I showered and got rid of those clothes, I laid down. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I wanted to go to sleep. I couldn't sleep. His face kept popping into my head. I couldn't get rid of his face. Not the sorrowful face. I kept seeing that demon face. That devil face, devil in the flesh. That face I kept seeing. And I was a mess for about 2 nights. 2 days, 2 nights. Didn't care. And finally, I was able to tell my best friend the whole story, because she knew I left. I'm not going to go into details how they knew something happened. That's for another time. We don't have time for all of that. But she knew. So I had to tell her, and then my friend, I had to tell him. And no, I didn't tell him right away. No. I only told my best friend. I know I couldn't tell him. I just couldn't. And so, anyway, I heard the Holy Spirit say, you gotta call the police. No, I can't do it. And I was justifying why I couldn't do it because I promised him I wouldn't do it. And the Holy Spirit told me, you gotta call the police because if you don't report it, he's gonna do it again. I'm like, oh no. So I said to myself, no, he's repented. He's going to be all right. I kept saying, oh, he's going to be all right. He's not going to do it again. And I tried to ignore the Spirit, Holy Spirit talking to me, and Holy Spirit reminded me, you got to call him now. Come on, you got to go call him. So I was obedient. I called down 911, and shortly after, two detectives, female and a male, knocked on my door and sat down, and I told them the story. And they immediately asked me to come with them. And I, without hesitation, I went with them. They put me in the car. They needed me to trace my steps so they went all the way back to the convention hall and club, whatever you want to call it. It was a concert hall and social club. And I vividly saw every move we made, and I did it. And I told them which way to go. And I saw that, remember that sign I told y'all, that big old sign that said neighborhood watch, you know, something about the community is safe, neighborhood watch. Well, okay. And back in those days, everybody had neighborhood watch programs starting because of the gang violence and stuff, you know. And this was a nice neighborhood, you know. It wasn't really far from the place. So we did that, and then they took me back home, and I was so relieved to get out of that car and go get in my bed. And then the next day, the female detective called me, and every time I got a call from them, I cringed because I didn't want to know what was going on. I wanted to shake this off me. I didn't want to think about it. I just wanted to get rid of it. And as every day went by, I buried it more and more and more. Anyway, she called to tell me that that neighborhood has been stripped of that neighborhood watch program. That sign has came down. It's like they took the stripes off their uniforms. They were no longer protected under the neighborhood watch. Why? Because she went to every door that I knocked on and basically read them for not answering when I was out here in distress, not answering the door. But you're a neighborhood watch. You're fake. Anyway, they were stripped from their titles and whatever. Their little neighborhood program was cut short. So she told me about that, and, you know, okay, you know, that went in one ear out the other. I mean, I had bigger things that I was dealing with. I was being tormented. And I didn't call on Jesus for that. You know, he brought me out, and I said, well, these thoughts, these are mine, you know. I'm going to have to work my way through this. He brought me out. I was saved. He set me free. But I'm going to have to work myself through these inner tortures that I'm going through. I know it's mentally, and one day I will get through it, right? That's what I tell myself. This is what we tell ourselves, victims of abuse. You know, one day we'll be all right, one day at a time. So, a couple of days later, I think, I don't know, maybe a week later, I don't know, probably a week later, I get a call. Sharon, we need you to come down to the office, to the police station, and we need your help. We have to find him. We have to get him. So they needed me to describe in more detail what he looked like, right? I grudgingly agreed to go. So got up, got dressed. I went over to the police station, and they could tell I didn't want to be there, and they understood. They knew they'd been through this before, so it was nothing new to them what I was experiencing. They offered to get me help. I didn't want any help. I didn't want anything. I said, I'll be fine. I just want to be left alone. Please, can y'all just leave me alone? So the male detective left the room. He left me with the female, and she started telling me about the other ladies. And as she told me those stories, they didn't have a ending like mine. Their lives were lost. So I heard the stories, and as she went on and on with more stories, I started just thought I was gonna just pass out. I didn't want to hear any more. Not that I wasn't compassionate. My heart was broken already from the first story. The man already confessed to me he's done it before, so I already had images in my mind, but to hear her confirm it, it was just heartbreaking and too much to bear at that particular time. And of course, I was there to help catch him. And so I went home. And so the very next morning, she calls and says, Sharon, we need your help. I'm like, oh my goodness. We have to catch him. And she says, I'll be over to talk to you. So they both came to my house and told me, these type of people, they never change. So you said you seen him around there before. I said, yeah. I said, we only frequent the spot about maybe once or twice a month, but I have seen him before, but I never engaged in any conversation with him, and he was not part of my inner circle, so we didn't have others, and we didn't invite others in, and we just stuck to ourselves unless we, divide and go talk to other friends that we knew. And I saw the guy, but, I didn't pay him any attention. He was not part of my circle, right? So they had to ask me, would I go back to the club, concert hall, and point him out. I said, no, I can't do that. I don't want to lay eyes on this man no more. I told him I was not going to tell it. I've done all I can do. Y'all got to leave me alone. Now, what else can I do? I can't do nothing else. Please leave me alone. They said, Sharon, we got to catch him. He's going to do it again. Anyway, they convinced me to go. They said, all you got to do, point him out to us. When you see him, you look at us, you nod your head. You are safe. You're under our protection. We're not going to take our eyes off you. All you got to do when you see him, nod your head and nod your head, and we'll take it from there. I said, okay. So this particular weekend, they had a special concert Friday, Saturday, I believe, and Sunday from this local group that was on the rise. They had a hit song out. They were going to be performing there the entire weekend. So we go on a Friday. I go in my car, and they sat at one of the bars as like a couple. If you didn't know that, you didn't even, no way you could tell they were detectives. They sat there like they were a couple. It was interesting now that I look back on it. And I sat in my usual area near the stage, right, where I could face the door. When I tell you I did not want to look at that door, every time somebody came through that door, I had to look up. It was just overwhelming for me, but I did it. And throughout the night, he didn't show up. So we called it a night. We went home. Fortunately, I had to go back Saturday night. Oh, my goodness. I had to get dressed and go back. This was torture for me, right? But I did it. I went back. This particular night, Saturday night, they're at the bar again, looking like, I just say, wow, they look like they're a married couple. I just couldn't get over the way they were mingling with each other like they were a couple. They were on it. They were on it. Anyway, I didn't want to stay fixated on them because I had a job to do, right? So every now and then I'll glance at them and they looking at me, and I knew they were there. I was safe. I knew I was safe. And because the owners of the facility and people inside knew me and my friends, so it's not like I was alone. You know what I mean? So, but I sat by myself. I didn't want any company. I didn't let no one sit at the table with me. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I was isolating myself. Now that I look at it, I didn't want to have any conversations about anybody, nothing. The joy in my eyes was gone, and they could tell it. They knew it, and they backed off from me. They knew I was not my bubbly self. They knew it, and they gave me my space. And so, as the night progressed, In walked this tall giant. For some reason, he was taller than I remembered. He was like a giant. He looked like a giant to me. That's how I perceived him. That's how I looked at him. He was a giant. And I didn't want to stare at him. I just saw him in the shadows coming in. I saw him, his whole frame. I knew it was him. His demeanor, I knew it was him. And I didn't want him to know that I was there. So I took my eyes off of him. I said, Lord, please don't let this man see me in this club. Don't let him see me. Don't let him see me in this hall. Don't let him see me. And he just came on in and went on straight to the back. Yeah. And as I gathered myself, I looked over to them and I nodded my head. I not only nodded my head, I got up from my table. Because me nodding my head is not pointing him out. I realized that. And they knew I was going to realize that and know I had to do more, but they just couldn't ask me. See, they were hoping I knew to get up. They couldn't ask me to go that far because they knew if they had to tell me I had to go up and get near him and to point him out that way, I wouldn't do it. So I nodded my head and they nodded, a little slight nod that they see me. And they kept on with their conversations like, they're not looking at me, which was good. And without hesitation, I got up from my seat. Yes, I did. I got up from my seat and I went towards the back. And you had to climb as you go. Like I say, it's a spacious place. It had game rooms, beautiful aquariums all over the place, about 5 or 6 bars in the place, big, huge stage, big, huge dance floor, VIP areas. Very, very nice, right? So as I walked up the stairs to get to where I knew he would be, as I walked up the stairs, my head was down. I'm watching my feet as I walk up the stairs. I didn't want to fall or anything. And as I got to the top of the stairs, I looked up and he was standing right there in front of me. He goes, "Hey, Sharon." Just like that. "Hey, Sharon." Like nothing ever happened. Yes, he did. It took all of me to stand there and go, "Hey, you." And he was doing a little light banter, conversing with me. I didn't hear anything he said. I didn't want to really look at him. He's had that smile on his face like he's a new man. He's healed. He's okay. And me and him are the best buddies. That's how he was acting. Yeah. And I just stood there as long as I could. It's like I said, "Hey, you." And he said, "Can I buy you a drink?" I go, "No, thank you. No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you." Ooh, I hated being there. I hated being there. So I looked over. When we're standing at the top of the stairs and I'm next to him, not that close to him, but I'm standing, no one could come between us, but I'm standing there and I'm looking across the room to the back bar where they were to let them know. And as soon as I looked their way, they're already looking at me anyway. They're looking at me anyway. They both were seriously looking at me. And without me even, I didn't even have to nod. They knew that was him because remember, I gave him a discretion. I nodded my head ever so lightly, and I walked back down them stairs, and I walked out that door, and I got in my car and I went home. Now, whether he entered that club that night and he saw my car, that's what drove him in there to me, I don't know. He was not there Friday night, and normally we go on a Friday, twice a month on a Friday, to get the new performance, to see the new concert. No, he showed up on a Saturday. Yes. So, and we were there on a Saturday, and I don't know if he saw my car or not. He was in there and he was all jovial and happy and smiling, and I left. And I get a call the next morning that he was arrested. Yes, he was arrested. And he had a message for me. This is my story. Can't nobody tell your story like you can tell your story. I'm free, y'all. I'm free. I no longer have this pain. I'm free. I encourage you all. Face your past pains. Face them. Be set free. Be set free, babies. You hear me?